So this week we're going to look at how we add a background to our superhero image that we did last week. This is what you're going to be creating by the end of the session. Okay, so I'm just going to close that to get away from it. So this is what we ended up with at the end of last week's work. We've got our multiple layers, adding the different aspects of the costume, and we've got our background layer. What we're going to do is we're going to add a background image, and then we're going to drop out this background here to give us a complete finished image. So you can add the layer a couple of different ways, but I'm going to click here on the plus button to add a layer. And normally we've been clicking on an empty, but this time we're going to choose image. And what you're going to do, you're going to find an image of a background that you can just find online. If you Google for background image, you'll be able to find stuff, cityscape, something like that. And I've got one already saved. So I'm going to click image, and then it's going to load where I've got here, and we've got one called cityscape. And what it does is it adds the image to the work as a layer. It's very, very big though. So what you've got to do to start with is you've got to go up here, go to edit, and click free transform. And what that will do, it will let you drag the object around and then resize it. And so the only bit we care about is in the bit in the sort of the window, the viewing area. So you can resize it a little bit, move it around till you're happy. Yep, so I'm sort of happy with that. And then when you click outside the box, it'll ask, do you want to apply the transformation? And you click yes. If you accidentally click outside, click cancel, you can carry on. So you click yes. And there you go. So that's our background set up. So this is what I want it to look like. Now, in order to make it so it will appear correctly, we need to drag this down to the bottom, on the bottom layer. Now, what you'll notice is you can't drag it below our starting picture. What you need to do, you need to click on the little padlock. Then that will let you move the background, because the background is our original image. So what you'll notice is the cityscape vanishes depending on the layers. So right here we've got all the costume and then the cityscape, and then our original layer is at the bottom. So it all depends on how you're arranging the layers. So the cityscape we can't see yet because we need to add a mask onto it, it's called, onto the background, onto this layer, to get rid of the background. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to these tools here, which is cut out or mask tool, it's called. And there's a couple of different options up here that you can choose. Possibly the easiest thing is just to use the brush tool. And you've got these two options, which is adding to the mask and removing from the mask. So if I want to add to the mask, and I just simply drag along, you'll notice that you've got a couple of different options here. And so if you click on remove from the mask, add to the mask, you do this along here. And what you'll notice is it's removing the background. So this background here is it's adding in the cityscape, which is of course in the background. That will take quite a while, so it's probably a bit quicker to actually use the lasso tool to quickly draw around the bits of the image that you want to keep, which is the head and actually only the hands. So I only want to keep this much of the picture. I don't care about the rest. And so I can go around to here. And then what that's done, it's done something a bit weird. But what you do here is you click, because it's removed that part, but we want to invert it. So we just click invert the mask, and then that will work a little bit better. So now what I can see is mainly the background image, and we can see the some of the background facing through. So this is where I get my tool here, and then I can start to continue to remove from the mask, that's what it's called, it's a red bit, and you can get in there quite carefully, and you can of course zoom in, remembering of course that we're focusing on this tab, and then you can use this. But what's nice, you don't have to be that neat. You do need to be around certain areas, but actually because we don't care about any of this bit, you can delete more underneath the costume. Because the costume, you're not touching the costume layer, you're just touching this layer. So then we're going to move this down. That's good. Get a few more bits. And then within a few minutes, this all depends on how well you use the that mask tool to start with. Because I did mine quite loosely, it's going to take me a little bit longer to do this, but I'm just using the tool. You can always make the tool a bit bigger. So you can actually make the tool much bigger to make it a bit quicker. You probably want a much smaller tool though when you get to the head. So then I'm going to reduce it down to sort of 15 because I want to be more precise. So it's all about using the correct tool for the correct job. That's fine. And then I'm going to get down to there, which is fine. And then once we've done this, so you can see now we're adding the building in. So it's a little bit like rubbing things out, but you're not really rubbing it out because if you make a mistake, you can just click here and click add to mask, and then you can actually get back things that you accidentally got rid of. So you've got those two options here. So removing from mask is removing stuff. We're removing the sort of original background. And adds to mask is when we're adding back in the original picture. So that should be enough. If I zoom out now, we should get. Oh, we've got that big bit there. So I'm just going to sort of slightly cheat and just use a shape here. If I use a shape, so you can use shapes to very quickly cover big areas. Just being sort of slightly lazy there. I've made there's a little mistake here, but that's fine down the bottom. So because the legs have vanished. So you can always fix that. But the reason why there's an issue there is actually because I missed something on this layer. So actually, I could go back to this layer and make that correction. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. But you can see now I've got my superhero set with their costume and, of course, within a background. Hopefully that makes sense, and I look forward to seeing your creations.